Welcome to this lecture on quantitative research methods in social sciences. I'm Dr. Haihu Guo from the Department of Society and Health at the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, Mahidol University. In today's session, we will focus on data collection methods in quantitative research. In this session, we will focus on three key areas. First, we will define what quantitative data is. Second, we will examine the main methods used to collect such data. And third, we will discuss ethical considerations related to data collection. This foundation is essential for conducting valid and ethical research in the social sciences. Quantitative data refers to the numerical information that expresses quantity, amount, or range. It allows researchers to capture complex social phenomena in measurable terms. Because it's numerical, this data can be analyzed statistically to test hypotheses and uncover patterns and relationships. This is the core of most quantitative studies. There are four main characteristics of quantitative data. First is objective. This means it will minimize researcher bias by focusing on measurable outcomes. Second is standardized, using uniform data collection procedures. Third is structured, often relying on close-end responses. And finally is statistically analyzable, which allows researchers to apply statistical tools like means, standard deviations, or correlations to interpret results. Quantitative data comes in two main types, discrete and continuous. Discrete data refers to countable values with no in-between values, for example, the number of hospital visits. Continuous data, on the other hand, includes values that can fall everywhere along a continuum, such as age, blood pressure, or income. Recognizing these types helps determine how data should be collected and analyzed. There are several sources from which we can obtain quantitative data. One source is surveys or questionnaires, which gather self-reported numerical data. Another is experimental studies, where data is collected under controlled conditions to test causal relationships. Structured observation involves systematically recording behaviors or events. And finally, we can use secondary data sources, such as census data or national health surveys that were collected previously for other purposes. This slide shows the step-by-step process of collecting quantitative data. It begins with identifying what data you need based on your research questions and hypotheses. Then you select the most appropriate method, like a survey or structured observation. Next, you design your tools carefully, making sure questions are clear and relevant. A pilot test helps you check for issues before full-scale data collection. Training your team is essential to ensure consistency and reduce bias. During collection, follow standardized procedure closely. Finally, store and manage your data securely to maintain confidentiality and quality. Each step builds on the last to make your research reliable, valid, and ethically sound. Quantitative data collection uses structured and standardized approaches. The most common methods include structured questionnaires, which consist of fixed questions, standardized scales and indices used to measure psychological or social constructs, structured observation, which records behaviors using checklists, and secondary data sources, which involve analyzing existing datasets. Each of these has specific strengths and applications, depending on the research design. Different research goals require different data collection methods. This table gives examples to help you choose the right one. If you are exploring relationships, like between mental health and lifestyle, surveys or standardized skills are a good fit. When testing an intervention such as a new health program, experimental designs give stronger evidence. If you want to observe real behaviors, like patient hand washing or classroom interaction, structured observation is more reliable than self-reports. And for analyzing trends or large populations, secondary data like national surveys is both efficient and cost-effective. Picking the right method ensures your data is accurate, relevant, and aligned with your own research goals. Structured questionnaires use close-ended questions, such as multiple choice or lecture skill formats. These tools are designed for self-administration or to be conducted by an interviewer. Their strengths include ease of administration, scalability, and suitability for statistical analysis. They are commonly used in cross-sectional and longitudinal studies within health, education, and policy research. Standardized skills are pre-developed, validated tools that measure abstract concepts like depression or anxiety. They often use numerical scoring systems, such as 1 to 5 lecture skills. Examples include the PHQ-9, used for depression screening, and the J87, used for measuring anxiety. These tools are highly reliable and valid, and allow to do comparison across studies. They are widely used in clinical and psychological research. Structured observation involves the systematic recording of behaviors or events using coding sheets or behavioral checklists. Researchers may record the frequency, duration, or intensity of specific behaviors. For example, observing classroom behaviors or monitoring patient complaints. Its strength lies in capturing real-time data, especially when self-reporting may be unreliable. However, it requires well-trained observers and may be influenced by the presence of the observer. Secondary data is data collected previously for purposes like administration, policy, or research. Examples include census data and National Health Service. The advantages are that it's cost-effective, often includes large samples, and allows for longitudinal analysis. However, the limitations include lack of control over variables and possible issues with data accuracy or completeness. Let's compare the four methods of data collection. Structured questionnaires are good for self-reported data and are easy to administer. Standardized skills offer high reliability and are ideal for abstract constructs. Structured observation provides behavioral data in real time, but requires training. Secondary data sources offer large-scale and historical data, but come with limitations in variable control. The method you choose should align with your research question and context. To ensure high-quality data, focus on clarity, consistency, and cultural relevance. Use simple language and avoid questions that confuse or embarrass participants. Translate and adapt tools carefully. Even minor wording can affect responses. Training all data collectors to follow the same procedures, which reduces variability. During data collection, monitor the process in real time, so you can fix issues early, like missing data or unusual trends. These practices help maintain data integrity and support reliable analysis. Ethical considerations are essential in research studies. There are 5 key principles. Respect for persons, which includes autonomy and protection of vulnerable groups. Informed consent, where participants must voluntarily agree to participate. Confidentiality and anonymity, which ensures secure handling of data. Justice, which means for fair selection and treatment of participants. And finally, IRB approval, where an institutional review board must review and approve your study. Informed consent is both an ethical obligation and an IRB requirement. Participants must agree voluntarily without coercion. They should be clearly informed about the study's purpose, procedures, risks, and benefits, and duration. They must also understand that they can refuse or withdraw at any time without penalty. The information must be communicated in language and form that the participant can understand. Maintaining confidentiality is critical in research. Strategies include storing data securely, whether in digital or physical formats, de-identifying data, for example, using participant codes, restricting data access to authorized personnel only, and ensuring all data collectors sign confidentiality agreements. These practices protect participants and build construct. Ethical research must be culturally sensitive. This means adapting tools to local languages and norms, and consulting community leaders to ensure alignment. It's especially important to avoid coercion in vulnerable groups. Finally, researchers must seek IRB approval from the appropriate ethics committee, sometimes both locally and internationally. Being context-sensitive strengthens both the ethics and quality of your research. Thank you for joining this session on data collection methods in quantitative research. I hope you now have a better understanding of the different methods and their ethical implications. See you in the next session.